Another video from the Angry Photographer here. I'm kind of reticent to make this video. I've been meaning to do it for quite some time. I have had use of the DGHSM Sigma Art Series 50mm, which this is not, by the way. It's obviously an older AIS Nikkor 50mm f1.4. But anyway, regarding the 50mm f1.4 Sigma Art Series, people are really going to be hating this video. People have been wanting me to talk about the art series and whether they're worth it or not. And, you know, I have to be blunt. I mean, nobody's paying me to say one thing or the other. I've got a couple Sigma lenses, especially the 150mm macro that I love, although its construction isn't anything spectacular. But you know, Sigma has never been famous for making sturdy lenses. I mean, they just never have. Their quality control is infamously inconsistent. Now, they have gotten a lot better over the years, but they're still rather horrific. So what are the issues with the Sigma Art Series? Let's first define what an Art Series lens is. There's no such thing as an Art Series lens. No such thing. Actually, Sigma has coined hypersonic on the lenses, and they've also said that as an extra special multi-coated front element. This is BS. It's actually a rather weak AR coating on the front element, but that doesn't really matter. I mean, as long as it's sufficient AR coating. The lens is crap. I mean, if you really have nothing better to do than piss your money away on an inferior lens that's inferiorly constructed, poor construct. The lenses are number one. What's wrong with them? Okay, let's go down the list. Let's not be subjective here. What is wrong with the Sigma Art Series? But let's just talk about the 50mm f1.4. Point number one, it's an inferior construction, hands down, flat out. Point number two, it's got 13 elements versus 8 elements in the, not this lens, but the current G series Nikkor 50mm f1.4. Okay. Point three, it's double the price. So it's half the quality, has a lot more glass, it's double the price, it's an inferior construction, it's got horrible, inconsistent quality control. There's no such thing in this world as an art series. I can tell you exactly what an art series is. You actually see these BS placebo devices that are sold on TV. There's a new one that you put over your knee that's supposed to actually improve your knee, and all it does is it's just little flickering red LEDs. I mean, it's nothing other than the placebo effect. So, well, it's an art series lens. That must mean it's superior. It's got a superior price tag on it. This is nothing other than genius marketing for stupid people. And the people that own Sigma Art Series, you people are going to swear by it. You know, you have it, obviously, you don't want to hear that you pissed away too much money. I get that. Nobody likes that, the notion that they pissed away too much money on an inferior lens. But that's just the fact of it. I mean, I have owned, I mean, God, I mean, I think I've got, what, 14 or 15 50mm lenses? I've used them all. I have used the Sigma Art Series. I will be actually borrowing the lens again and posting some pictures. Now, one person's videos who I don't like because they're mostly fluff and nonsense, even though I think he's funny as hell, is the little digital rev guy, Kai. But if you want, type in the Sigma DGHSM 50mm Art Series lens and pull up his video. I'll post the link below if you want it. But his review is actually accurate. He goes out in the field, and it's the same thing that I found when I tried the lens, and I had it for a borrow. He actually specifically states that the bokeh sucks on it, and it does. He states that between f1.4, which is where it's supposed to operate at, f1.4, it's got bad distortion issues, it's got really nasty vignetting. Something else I absolutely hate about the lens, but that's because it has 13 elements versus 8 elements on the G series f1.4, the current G series 50mm Nikkor, is that it has low contrast and low color saturation. But because it's got so much glass in it, it should be no shocker that it has low contrast. Now, that gives a really creamy looking detail to it, but that creaminess is actually nothing other than a lack of contrast. I mean, I could stick that, I could take a regular Nikkor lens, and if I wanted to give it a creamy after effect, I can do that in Photoshop and post. So there is no such thing as an art series lens. This means BS. There's no such thing as an art series lens. Okay? The lens is poorly constructed. It's got horrible fact, hardcore fact. It's got horrible vignetting and distortion issues between f1.4 and about f2. It gets a lot better at f4, but who gives a damn? You paid all that money, basically $900 for an f1.4 lens. But even as Kai's video indicates, people have actually reviewed this lens that are partially objective on it. Will admit that it's a POS, and the lens is a genuine POS. It's got horrible inconsistencies in quality construction. One lens will vary widely from the other. Sigma has always been famous for this. The one thing that Nikon has always been better at than Canon and everybody else, no matter what you think of Nikon, Nikon has always kicked everybody's ass as far as lens consistency. Now, have I seen consistencies? I mean, there's several lenses that I have many of. Are there inconsistencies? I mean, are each one different? Yeah. That's part of other variables, but in the glass production, and obviously also in building the lenses up, they'll actually have a little bit difference in sharpness or vignetting, but still far superior to everybody else. So the lens is expensive, it's poorly constructed, inconsistency in manufacture, it's got vignetting and distortion issues all the way up to f4. It's insanely expensive. It's got too much damn glass in it. 13 frigging elements. There's no such thing as a frigging art lens. No such thing. Now, this video is going to get a lot of hate because there's a lot of people that, I have an art series lens. What do you think of that? I'm like, oh yeah, that's a lens, all right. But I'm not trying to please you. I mean, the one thing that people supposedly like about my low production value videos is that they're accurate and they express a spectrum of experience. Now, whether I'm a fat tattooed SOB or not, that's certainly, I'll probably argue for you on that case, but I do have a large spectrum of experience on lenses, and I actually can be objective on stating whether something's a good value or not. And the Sigma Art Series are not a bad value. They're a horrible value. I mean, this lens, by the way, this obviously isn't the G series. It's an old AIS 50mm f1.4. Oh, another thing too, by the way. Something horrible that the DGHSM Art Series Sigma 1.4 50mm has. It has horrible purple fringing. Now, the f1.4 G series Nikkor is half the price. This one, by the way, you can actually snag one of these all day long for about $120. So basically 1/8 of the price. Yes, it's a manual focus lens, but it's built like a tank and it'll last several generations. And of course, it'll last longer than the Nikkor G will. I mean, there's nothing here but glass and a metal aperture diaphragm. So you're talking about $140, and then you're talking about another. Talking $400 for the G series f1.4 Nikkor, but you're talking with tax, depending on where you buy it from, New York or not, you may have to pay tax. But you're talking nearly $900 for that damn awful Sigma Art Series lens. Please God, if you're thinking about buying one of those lenses, do not buy it. Okay, whatever you think of me, fine, whatever. That's fine. But the lens is insanely expensive, it's got purple fringing, it's poorly constructed, it's got inconsistencies in manufacture, it's got too many glass elements in it. It's actually somewhat famously known for having aperture blades that actually fall out on the unit, especially when people are shooting continuous low or continuous high. A lot of shots, it's kind of famous, they've got a design flaw in the aperture assembly on the lens. I forget the 4 or 5 other points that I named earlier, but please God, don't buy that Sigma Art Series. Like I said, there's no such thing as an Art Series lens. And I know this video is really going to piss some people off, but I told you from the get-go, I've got a spectrum of experience with lenses. I have used a Sigma. I will be posting test samples in the near future, comparing it with the 50mm Nikkor f1.4. And the Nikkor is far sharper, better contrast, better color saturation, far superior build, and also the Sigma, that lens is huge. The lens is a big honking bastard. which is fine. You know, I don't mind a lens being huge. I love big cameras and lenses. But if something's going to be bigger, you know, it damn well better be better at least. And it's not only not better, it's far, far worse. So, you know, this video is going to get a lot of hate, but I ultimately don't give a damn. I mean, I have to be truthful, and I have an enormous amount of experience with lenses. And I can tell you flat out that, you know, Kai over on Digital Rev, his video is accurate. The only thing that I don't like about his video reviewing the Sigma, where he trashes it, talking about its vignetting and its bad bokeh and the fact that it's basically got a really crappy construction. The only thing I don't like about his video is he doesn't mention a dozen other bad points that the Sigma DG-HSM Art Series lens has. You know, there are a lot of other negative points that I just went over with you. So anyway, this video is going to get a lot of hate, but I had to make it, and I had to be very truthful and objective. And the lens is a pisser. It's just a pissing awful waste of money. It's a bad value. It's poorly constructed. It's got too much glass. It's got vignetting issues. It's got distortion issues. It doesn't have good enough color saturation. It doesn't have good enough contrast. There's no such thing as an art lens. It's poorly constructed. It's got a design flaw in the aperture assembly. It's frigging huge. Huge. It's insanely expensive. It's not worth it. It's got a poor resale value. I mean, Jesus, how many points? How many negative points does this lens have? The lens sells really well. And it's all hype. It's just BS and hype. It's you know, it's an art series lens, and it's got a really expensive price. It must be good. No, that doesn't mean a damn thing. Not a damn thing. Okay? So I'm actually trying to save you money, and that's the lowdown on the Sigma Art Series, but in specific reference to the 50mm f1.4 Sigma Art. Thanks for watching. Catch you later. Okay? Bye.